Hey everyone, this is Wei and welcome back. Let's do some more Pokemon, and this time I'll be drawing these characters. So let's get started and I'll talk about the process along the way. Alright, so let's draw Ratata here. Let's see, so again with these kind of cartoon drawings, starting with the big shape, though I'm gonna rough in his head, which is gonna be kind of something like this. Alright, so his head is probably the biggest part, and his body is kind of like a little bit elongated. Could be simplified into like that, just kind of egg shape. And then you got his arms and his legs on the back, right? Arm, and then another arm. I'm gonna forget about that arm because that one's behind the head. So, and then the tail can be anywhere because, you know, once we have the main body, the tails and stuff can actually go in fairly easily. So let's get back to the head. All right, I'm dividing this head up. Looks like he's got a big mouth here, right? He's opening his jaw. Just kind of roughing it in, and then here's his snout, and then here is his skull and his eyes right here, right about where his nose is. Sorry for my bad grammar. And then let's see, opening his mouth. The inside of the mouth is kind of like that, right? It's kind of like this U shape, right? Then his ear, here. Okay, very simple, very basic. And then these little details, like his whiskers, those can actually go later. It's not as important. All right, so now that we have that, let's keep going. So as you can see that like my arm right here is a little bit off, right? But that's okay because, you know, at the beginning you're just kind of getting some reference in first, right? So even though it's off, now we can easily adjust it and say, okay, his arms right around here, and then he's got 1, 2, 3, the claws, and then we're gonna go back a little bit. His legs. Let's do his buttocks area because we need a nice round curve there, right? And then his leg, 1, 2, 3. Again, very simple. Let's see, the tail goes all the way up. I can draw the little end first because this is a bigger shape, and then we can just connect it, right? Because once you draw that, then it's easier to connect. Whereas if you drew this first, then, you know, this might be a little bit off. So definitely, you know, kind of get yourself in the mode of looking for larger shapes first, okay? It's all about cartoon drawings and actually a lot about drawing in general. It's always going for the big shape first. Okay, so now that we have this, right, we can easily do his other arm. Okay, so it's kind of like that. It's kind of reaching forward. All right, so now we have everything roughed in. Let's just go in and hit those lines a little bit harder. I know this is actually pretty dark. I mean, normally if you want a cleaner drawing, you know, you can do a little bit lighter, but in this case, I'm kind of going it dark because it's actually easy for you guys to see. So my guidelines are pretty dark, but you know, it's okay. I'm not looking for a museum drawing here. All right, so his teeth, he's got 2. So it's block in that first, you know, big chunk first, right? Once you block that in, then you can just divide it up like that, and there you go. So always, yes, I don't know, it's kind of like an automatic process. If you train yourself to, you know, see the big shapes first, eventually you'll start ignoring the little things. And funny thing is that you end up not even seeing the little details at first until you know, once you get the big shapes in, and then you realize, you know, ooh, there's all these little details, and that's kind of cool, you know. I mean, it's like a training exercise for your mind. Okay, so let's see here, and then the inside. All right, inside of this. And then now the whiskers, you know, I'm just gonna close this off right now. I mean, I don't need to get it exactly like that because in the drawing the whisker goes over the ear, but it's okay. I mean, little discrepancy like that's okay because it really doesn't make any difference, you know. It's like, it's still the character. And it's just a pose, right? Right, well, we can actually do this arm right now because since we got the head already. All right, finger, finger, a little bit of palm. So one, long shapes, you know, don't try to do it too small, just one smooth stroke. Okay, so like even for here, it's like stroke, 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 you know. It's a little bit easier for me to go up this way as opposed to going down, so sometimes it's a little bit easier if I just go this way. I think most people probably have it, yeah, easier to go up than to go down, but I don't know. Depends on your hand position, I suppose. Okay, his tummy. All right, now his buttocks. Curve it down. See, in general, this shape is a little bit harder to do because it's, you know, this kind of curve is easier, right? This kind of curve is harder because it's just, you don't have to pivot point with your wrist, so that's why I have to shorten those strokes. And I'm sure if you've drawn, you'll notice that some curves are easier and some are just harder. So whenever you can, you know, go for the long strokes. If you can, then just gotta kind of do the shorter strokes. Down. Yep, it's this curve again. See, it's very hard to make a nice smooth curve with one stroke going in that direction. All right, so let's see. Should we even do? Yeah, we can shade it. Let's shade a little bit. So there's a distinction, looks like, all right, I'm not doing shading right now. This is actually his body. Like his claws and stuff, right? This area is white. Okay, so I'm gonna give everything else right here, I kind of graphed it out. Just gonna give it a light shade. Go all the way around. Let's see. All right, connecting this. Let's go. This one is dark too, the tail. Just roughly. Okay, once we have that, now we can do in the shadow, right? Let's say the shadow, oh, I don't know. It's a little tricky actually. All right, so here's one shadow for the leg. I'm gonna cross hatch. Okay, a little bit of shadowing here for the tail, very roughly. So just by cross hatching, you know, you get a nice shade. All right, so there's a little bit of cross hatching here, a little bit darker here. Yeah, there's some here. Maybe a little bit up here on the head. Yeah, not too much. I don't want to get in too much detail. Okay, and then the tummy. This is lighter, so I'm going to keep it a little bit lighter. Yeah, that's probably good enough. This is a little bit more subtle shading, but I don't want to go too much. And this is kind of a cartoon drawing. I guess the mouth needs to be a little bit darker. Okay. So there's a lot of different variations in shade. I'm not going to try to do too much of it. All right, so this would be my Ratata. All right, let's do Wigglytuff. This is a pretty cute character. So very easy shape, right? It's kind of like an egg, slightly bigger on the bottom. So it's kind of like that. Okay, and then it's got a hair right here in the middle. I'm gonna draw in his eye since this is kind of the main feature, and it is basically just like an egg shape with an eye. And then here's the mouth, right? And then I'm gonna do his ear first because it is a larger shape. I mean, her ear, I assume this is a female. Okay, so ear, two ear, and then his arm. See, his little hands right here is like inside the body, so I actually kind of ignore that, at the beginning because it's kind of within this big shape, right? We don't really need to. We can put that in any time after we put in the rest of the stuff. Right. And here's foot, one foot here, another one here. And then now, let's see, let's round it out a little bit. Might have been a little bit too, too angular. So it's kind of cube shape, so kind of needs that kind of curvature. All right, so actually, yeah, so that's it. I mean, this is kind of roughed out already, so let's just start, well, let's just do the eyes. Once we have this thing roughed out, it's just, we can really tackle any area that you want, so. All right, eye. Okay, so highlight, drawing the highlight. It's a little bit highlight on the bottom, so I'm gonna mark that out too. I'm just gonna shade this dark. It's a little bit of gradation, so I'm gonna leave it a little bit lighter on the bottom. Okay, so that's one. Now let's do the other one. I know my line's not very clean, but I'm just, you can make it cleaner if you want, but I just want to be able to do it a little bit quicker. All right, here, shading it dark, and then lining it up just on the bottom a little bit, just so that you get a nice gradation. Okay, mouth, and now we can do this, the hair, clump going up. All right, so like a big clump. Let's see, let's do the ear. I'm trying to get around this on my head and go into the camera. All right, so broad strokes, and then the inside. Okay, and then this is, we can shade it dark. One level of dark shading. And here. The ear, curvature here. Okay, so try to do it with long strokes if you can. Don't have to be so timid. Okay, so here, and here's this kind of curve again. So we can turn my paper a little bit so I don't have to go around it. All right, this is round. Then her arms. Going up slightly, then the foot, then another one. This one is just, yeah, very simple shapes. And then let's see, she's got a little bit of body. I'll do that line there. Okay, and then we can actually shade. Yeah, all right, let's do that. Let's do the pink. Let's give it a shade. Just gonna skip this, but it kind of helps so that we see a distinction, from the tummy area. So very light shading. All right, so now we can do in the shadow. So since we got this one level of shading for the pink already. Well, actually, wait, hold on. Let me do the mouth. All right, that looks a lot better. All right, so here's the shadow. We can curve that. And then now I'm gonna go over it with the same consistency all the way around. And what that does is you see how it crosses the pink area, right? That automatically becomes a little bit darker. So that's kind of how you can shade that. All right, so arms here a little bit darker, a little bit of shadowing here too. Try to cross hatch, and then the ear right here is a little bit darker too. Here, I'm gonna mark that out. Once you mark it out, then you can just kind of go over it. All right, so yeah, this one is fairly simple, and this is probably a little bit too dark. I should probably line it a little bit, but other than that, this would be my Wigglytuff. All right, so let's draw Arcanine, and I think that's how you pronounce his name, right? Okay, so this one is a little bit complicated. Let's see. So if we break it down, here's the head. All right, here's the head, and then it's gonna come down. He's got these, this fur is gonna come down to his chest, right? And then we're gonna sculpt out his body right here. And then his leg, his arm, 1 and 2. 1, 2, and then his leg on the back. Okay. And then let's see, we can do, yeah, there's a lot of little furry things going on, so I'm just gonna see what else to hit. Yeah, actually, you know, once we have these legs here, let's say this foot here, foot here, foot here, and now we can just kind of rough in these big shapes. These furs going everywhere, right? So here's his body, his buttocks here, and then the tail. The tail can be a little bit easier because it's not connected to anything, so I mean, it doesn't affect any of the other parts of the body. All right, so let's go back to the head. So this one's a little bit tricky. Okay, so this big head all the way up here, and now we're gonna break it up. Looks like it's got like the huge furs, right? Like a whiskers, those hairs on a cat. And then here's his eye. So his eyes, I'm just gonna put in 2 shapes like that because it's kind of, you know, there's a lot of detail inside, but overall, I mean, if you can just kind of imagine like almost like a Spider-Man mask, right? Just doing that first. Here's the nose, and then his mouth. It's kind of like a W shape. He's got a little chin there. And then from his eye, let's see, if you go out, gives you his ears, kind of angular. It's almost like a diamond shape, right? So we're gonna do that first. Here's the diamond shape, and then, yeah, once we have that, it gets a little bit easier now that we've drawn in some other stuff. So here's the rest of his hair, his hair flaring out. So this one's a little bit tricky. There's a little bit of layering, and there's some more hair on the back. So let's skip the stuff on the back first, right? So here's the hair, whisk, chest hair coming down, all right? All right, so now I think we have enough to, yeah, we can have to go on. So, all right, so let's do the face. Now we can go in and actually draw it. His eye, let's see, I can still draw in the shape first. And it's got an eyeball in here. And this is dark. That's one eye. And then let's do his other ear since it's right here already. Because it's kind of attached, you know, it's like we can actually do this one before we move on to the other eye. All right, so that's one. So now let's do the other side. Same thing, let's see, straight up. Keep thinking of a Spider-Man mask. Eyeball, dark center, and then here's his other ear. All right. A little bit more sloppy. His eyes probably should be a little bit bigger, so I can adjust for that. Or I can erase it out and clean it up, but let's just keep going because here's his nose, because this one's a little bit more complicated. His mouth. And then a little chin underneath. And now we can actually draw in, yeah, let's do the hair. So it's just, you know, the hair stuff, you know, you don't need to follow it exactly because it's just kind of like a flowing thing anyways. So I'm just gonna, you know, you can match it up if you want, but you know, it's really unnecessary. As long as you get the big stuff, right? Like, you know, this thing comes out and this goes back in. So this one goes out, comes back in. You know, that's all you need to, you know, those are the main points. Like this one goes out and it's gonna come back in here, tuck it in. All right, so here it is again, going over his arm, and it's gonna come back in. All right, yeah, because you know, you want to match it up, all those little, you know, furs, and it's a little bit too daunting. All right, so his leg. Since we're here, let's just keep going here. It's got 3 paws. I mean, it's paws. It's got 3 fingers, and then straight down. Then we can do the paws here. So the leg, you can see how I'm actually drawing the paws first, right? Because that'll give me placement. So once I have this, then it's easier to just kind of go up, right? And just kind of just go up. And then it's got some more furs going on. In the back here too, let's see. All right, and then now we can do his body, his buttocks. Okay, this one comes over, and then he's got a clump of fur right here, and we do need to draw this first because it's kind of going over this leg. So remember, we want to draw things that are in front first. Okay, so then now here's his foot. 1, 2, 3. And then his hind leg. So this one's behind. So we just do that. Okay, now we can do the tail. So this part's easy right now. Just kind of like some fur here, bending down. Some fur here. Again, doesn't need to be exact. And then there's another layer of fur in the back right there. And it's a little bit darker. And then it's got these patterns. So this one is definitely more detailed. And so I'm just gonna shade it in a little bit because as I'm drawing, because sometimes, you know, if you draw too many of these lines without shading it kind of gets lost, right? You kind of like, well, what's this line for? So that's why I'm shading it as I'm doing it. It's like I'm not actually mapping out the whole thing first because I can't really see what's going on if you just draw these lines. So there's another one. Another one here. Coming down. Shading. Okay, and that's it. I mean, yeah, there's some shadowing going on, but I don't want to... See, his hind leg needs to be dark. So the leg on the back needs to be dark because... or else it becomes really confusing as to what it is. So this hair right here is on the back. I'm going to shade it a little bit. And this one is behind. So I'm going to give it some subtle shading too. All right, so that, you know, that gives it a little bit more dimensionality. So kind of, you know, push things back a little bit so that we can actually, you know, see what's in front so that I don't get all muddied up. All right. So I think, yeah, there's some more shading to do, but I'm not going to do that because it's a little bit more detailed. You can do that if you want, but overall, yeah, this is more complicated, but, you know, again, same steps, you know, big shapes to little shape. So this would be my Arcanine. All right, let's do Poliwrath, and this one is simpler. Let's see, so it's just basically big circle, right? That's his body. And then you're gonna break that down with his other big shapes. It's gonna be his fists, right? 2 big fists right there. And then we can just kind of connect it. All right, so it's kind of like that. And it's got almost like a, I assume this is kind of like a frog character or something, right? It looks like a little toad. All right, so here's his eye, and then it's got the swirl. I'm just gonna do something like that just to rough it out. And then his legs coming out. Okay, this angle is important because it kind of shows off his stance. All right, so I think from there, yeah, I can kind of keep going now, right? So here's his arm, round it out a little bit. So let's start out with the eye. Okay, so here's 2 top parts. This is still part of the body. And then his arm's gonna go straight down like that. And here's going down to hit this arm here. And then this is kind of like an egg shape in here. I draw these 2 egg shapes. And then let's see, the lid, a little bit round. It's kind of curving to the, so the eyes kind of bulges out, right? So you gotta have that nice curvature or else it's gonna look like it's flat. And then here's 2 little, yeah, his mouth. Or whatever this is. No, this is not his mouth, I'm sorry. This is his tummy. I'll draw the shape. I'm not gonna draw the swirl yet. Let's get on to the other stuff. So I'm gonna continue on with the body. Let's let's get this big shape in first. All right. It's kind of like that, and then let's do his arm. His arm is right here, comes down this way, and then now we can fill in a little bit more detail for this fist. So let's see, this fist looks like there's 3, so we can do 1, 2, and 3. And a little bit of palm area right here. All right, so just very simple roughing in. One, two, 3. Palm, there you go. Okay, and then let's do the other side. It's a pretty cool fist. Okay, this is a little bit elongated, and I'm correcting the shapes a little bit. And it's basically 1, 2, and 3, right? So here's the bigger finger. I draw that in first because it's kind of in front, slightly in front, right, of the other ones. That's the other one, third, 1, 2, 3, curving it out. A little bit of palm, arm. All right. Let's go down, foot. Again, this kind of shape, you know, very typical. All right, so let's finish up with the body here. The swirl, yeah, I guess you just kind of go from the center, just kind of swirl all the way around, and you can make it a little bit darker if you want. You know, maybe I'll just double the strokes, do it one more time so that gets a little bit wider. All right, yeah, just kind of like that. And then let's shade this a little bit because it really needs to, with these kind of round shapes, it really does help. Let's see, so let's see his arm here, could be darker. Then it looks like we can do around his body. We can give, let's see, it looks like it's here to here. So we can go all the way down to his foot. All right, maybe a little bit here in the arm, and then his fingers, there's 3, and then this is slightly darker. You know, just a little bit of shading like this really helps, you know, especially with these round shapes. And even his foot. Yeah, even somewhere up here, but all right, let's not do any more. Then we kind of get the point. All right, so we can clean up these lines a little bit if you want. I'm just gonna leave it like this because, yeah, it looks okay. So this would be my Poliwrath. All right, let's do Bellsprout. And this one is, it kind of reminds me of, it's basically the, whatchamacallit, the Plant vs. Zombie thing, right? The pea shooters, that's right. Very cool game. All right, so let's see, this is, it's basically a round shape here, his head. I'm gonna extend it down, right, to get the little snout. So, because sometimes it's kind of hard to draw this kind of shape, but if you do like a round shape first, and then just kind of connect it, it's a little bit easier. So I'm breaking that simple geometry up, you know, into an even simpler, you know, like a primitive, basically just a circle. So sometimes it helps, you know, then you just kind of connect it. So yeah, once we have this, let's see his eyes, right? And then this, this is very simple. So this is like a curvature, just kind of go down. Just kind of do like a little snake like that, right? Just give it a little bit of volume. It looks like it's got these 3 claws for the root. 1, 2, and 3. And then basically, yeah, his other stuff is, it's 2 big leaf right here. So it's 1 and 2, right? And that's it. So it's very simple stuff. It's just, but very good practice. It's a little bit too high, so I'm gonna adjust it a little bit. All right, so let's finish it out. Doing a curvature here. Curve down. Mouth. Yeah, definitely a pea shooter. So I'm just gonna shade his mouth in because it's just, I don't know, it's just yelling out at me to say, hey, you know, shade it. His eyes. Okay, and then let's see his body. This part goes over. Then his leaf. Well, let's give it a little bit more volume. Might have made it a little bit too skinny. All right, there's one leaf here. Another one there. All right, so let's go down. Finish out the body here. 1, 2, and 3. Nice big curves. 1, 2, and 3. And that's it. Then we can do a little bit of shading. Let's see, this thing goes around. Looks like it's kind of like this. I'll shade that up here. This could a little bit darker here, here. The leaf. Here. And then this side here. Yeah, shading helps this a little bit because it's so, you know, the shapes are so simple. So without shading, it looks like a line drawing. All right, yeah, that's it. This would be my Bellsprout. All right, let's do Dengar. This is kind of a cool character. Very simple. Let's see, egg shape again, right? So I'm gonna rough that in. This is gonna be his whole body, and we can do, let's let his ear, 2 big ears, and then his arms gonna extend out this way. One's gonna extend out this way, and then it's got a little bit of a foreshortening here, like his legs coming forward here, and this one's going back. So then there's tail. So very rough, right? Very basic shapes, and I think, yeah, that's it's not much to this guy. All right, so let's continue on. Let's say he's got his big eyes, kind of a mean expression here, and he's got a big, kind of wicked smile. And his teeth, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we could probably adjust for some of the placement now. A little bit off at the beginning, but okay, so that's why we leave the lines kind of light, right? So that we can always adjust for it. All right, so I'm just gonna start with the face. I mean, since it is kind of, this features here are kind of main features. And then we'll work around this. There's his mouth. Teeth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 lines, cross. Okay, now his body. Let's come down because this is kind of, it's a little bit crucial to get these lines. Okay, because his legs, let's see, one of them goes back. And it looks like he's got, yeah, he's got like 3 little claws right here. 1, 2, 3. And this other one here. And his foot's here, his claw 1, 2, and 3. And his tail. This goes over, this line goes over the his body because he's coming forward, right? So that's, you know, it's kind of like the overlapping line for shortening. And his claws, 1, 2, and 3. His ear, just basically a triangle shape. Then I'm gonna skip the little hair in between first because I want to get this other ear first. So once I have this other ear, you know, now I can go in and do that so that I know where to, you know, where to begin and where to end on that. So again, it's the same rule, just basically big shape first and then small. And then let me see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think that's it. I could do a little bit of shading. This one looks like it's a little bit trickier. Yeah, this one's a little bit trickier. Let's just do the generic shading. I'm just gonna shade it like this. It's kind of like, looks like in the shading they're trying to do some kind of fur effect. I just kind of want to give it a little bit of shading so that you can see the forms a little bit better. Go not too crazy. All right, so even, you know, a little bit of shading like this really helps, you know, to show the roundness of this character. All right, so this would be my Gengar. All right, so that's it for this set of Pokemon, and I hope you guys find this useful, and if it is, please do give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.